Good evening, everybody. It is Monday after Easter, and this is the Hillbilly Think Tank. This is the Educated Hillbilly, Spencer Cat, coming at you live from Tunnel Hills here in Hardin County, where I'm running for magistrate, District 3. And y'all, I just want to tell you, been listening to folks lately, and it is all about serving the community with honor, courage, and commitment. The days of left versus right, they're over. We're all knee deep and having enough with that. So let's talk about what it is that brings us together. What is it that we're all looking for? Are we looking for folks who are just interested in keeping the status quo and serving themselves? Or are we looking to someone who really believes in the community and what it stands for and what it can become and how we can preserve the best of what it always has been? I'd say it's all of those. We are looking for honor, courage, commitment, and we're looking to keep our traditional values of hard work, love for our family, and dedication to our community. So let's talk about what that looks like. Number one, we can't tax our way out of recovering from the shutdown of the EV plant just south of here. We know that we've been hardworking forever in this county, and we have to keep that up. We have to reward hard work. We can't put folks down who were hurt by the shutdown. We can't point fingers. We've got to bring folks together and build a working economy for all of us. How are we going to do that? Number one, we're going to keep the fiscal court accountable for what they've already said they would do. They've said that they would give us a county with great roads. They're working on it. We can't let that go down. We've also got to keep an emergency medical system that works for all of us and that can be there when we need it. That's our dedication. We've got to stick with it. We were also promised that this county would have a county transportation system, a public transportation system run by the county. They haven't done that. Now, that's going to be harder to do, we know, with the big hit we've taken with Ford's shutdown of the EV plant, with Blue Oval SK pulling out, and now Ford being in charge and being responsible for bringing back those jobs that they let go of. How can we make sure that Ford stays accountable to the employees here in the county? Because that's a large tax base. You know, those what was supposed to have been 2,100 employees. It was only 1,600, which was a lot. It was supposed to have been more. Those 1,600 should not have been let go. They had voted to unionize. Blue Oval SK knew it was pulling out. Ford knew that they were pulling out, and they played dirty tricks on those employees by not letting them unionize. If they had let them become part of the union, they would have had to make sure that they had union jobs elsewhere at other union plants and facilities, and they could have brought them back as soon as they retool. Could have been brought back the exact same pay and benefits. So, not letting them unionize guaranteed that those 16,000 are going right now without the guaranteed pay that they would have had, and that's a guaranteed tax base that could have stayed with us during this interim time when they're retooling that plant. So, we've gotta hold Ford responsible. We can't just say, "Oh, what's good for Ford is good for the county," if Ford isn't going to be faithful to the county. I hope they are. I would love to believe them, but they played us dirty. I had planned on buying a Ford Lightning. I was so proud of what was here for our folks in this county, for students that I taught years ago, only 3 or 4 years ago. I looked forward to them graduating and being able to go to work here in the county. But I've met some of my students. One now just lives a couple houses down from me, and he and his roommate that are renting a place just down from me, they're looking for gainful employment that should be here. So this is very unfair to what we promised our youth if they stayed with us in the county, that they would be able to be employed gainfully in this county. So, anybody have any thoughts on that? What can we do? Right? Because we know that the war of the left versus right, it's not working for us. It's not helping this county. It's not helping our nation, and it's not helping our neighbors. So we need to get to, hey, we've got right now a president who was involved in making it impossible for EVs to succeed, shutting off the incentives for people to buy EVs that led to Ford backing out. Also, taking off the restrictions on how many miles per gallon vehicles had to have by a certain time frame and doing away with that. That led to where we are now. Now, it's got to be obvious that as high as gas prices are right now, we were on a good path. We were on a path that was very sustainable if we had made it possible for more people to buy EVs with incentives to buy them. Less people would be hurting right now because my electric vehicle is not costing me as much to run as everyone right now is paying for this gas that been driven up by this president's war of choice. Now, we also know that this president has announced in the next budget plan that he plans on cutting out Medicare, Medicaid, and the little small amount of funding that we put in for childcare. Y'all, we know that we can't afford to pay for our aging parents' medical costs. So, what are we really going to do? Are we really going to turn our back on our moms and dads and their time of need and their old age? They put in to their tax base, most parents, at least 30, 40, 50 years. Most of them 50 years by the time they get to retirement. 40 for sure. And are we gonna tell them, "Oh, hey, sorry, the president says we can't afford to take care of you. We can only afford a war that we didn't need." No, this is not something that can stand. So up and down the ballot, we've got to push out those who have been spitting and promulgating this propaganda that tells us that if you've got GOP R by your name, that means you care about working folks, that you are a worker. No, not when this president has a son that now it's been revealed put in $50 million that daddy gave him, 19-year-old college son. Daddy gives him 50 million to invest in petroleum only a few days before he starts a war. The other son invests much, much more than that into an AI company and a drone company right before the war starts. So now they're all profiteering off of this war. Now, enough has to be enough. We've got to rethink what it really means to care about our country, to care about working folks, to believe that it really means something to roll up your sleeves and work hard and work by the sweat of your brow. The guardians of the pedophiles don't care about that. They don't care about our kids. They don't care about our parents, or they would not be blithely telling us they can't pay for Medicare, Medicaid, or food for kids in the morning when they go to school. Because they said they're going to cut that too. They're going to cut lunch programs and breakfast programs for my students at the public school that I teach at. This cannot stand. I can't look kids in the eye in the morning and tell them with a hungry stomach because they couldn't eat breakfast and a hungry stomach because they can't eat lunch that I expect them to do the strenuous lift of mental gymnastics, paying attention to reading, pay attention to writing, pay attention to math, pay attention to science, pay attention to social studies if we're not feeding them. When we know that the president's kids aren't going hungry, and it's not kids' fault if they're hungry. So, all right, y'all. We've got to get back to understanding. Again, like I said, it's not right wing, left wing. It's not Republican versus Democrat anymore. It's just those who have said they were guardians of the pedophiles against us. So let's take it back. The election is serious. Let's make it meaningful. It is time for all of us to succeed together and to work together to make nation work for all of us. So y'all remember, here in Kentucky, united we stand, divided we fall. We are our brother's keeper. We are our sister's keeper. And we know that we love our neighbors as ourselves. There's no way we can be divided. Y'all don't forget to like and subscribe. Remember, everyone deployed overseas, bless your corazon. Have a great night and a great week. Hopefully, your kids are enjoying their time off during spring break and having a blast, enjoying the sunshine.
Your great grandfather didn't grow stock runners because they were timid.